concept to abide by, especially if you believe in capitalism, such as myself, a true capitalistic, society, where we actually let businesses fail if they.
Oh, that would be good. Succeed. Yeah, but then there's the monopolies.
Right, and then yes, you do have those, but also, look at GM. GM was a wonderful company at one point, but they were failing. They were sinking ship, and if the government didn't bail them out, it would have been done. So I mean, sometimes you have to let businesses fail, and then maybe rebuild itself to become better.
And I think, I think that happened with General Motors. What happened with GM is that once the government came in and took them over, they came in with a management team, and they came in with their little briefcases, and they called all the senior vice presidents in, and they handed them their pink slips. They fired everybody. All of them went. And the reason is the crap they were turning out for cars, it was garbage. Nobody wanted to buy those cars. And frankly, I don't know if you've been to an auto show recently, but GM's turning out some pretty nice vehicles now. So, and Ford didn't go broke, but Ford lost a lot of old-timers, and Ford vehicles are very well-made cars. And, sometimes you're right. Sometimes it takes a little shock, and you take the old guard and you fire them and get new blood in there and say, let's think different here. Let's try to do things in a different way. It worked for Apple Computer. It worked for Xerox. It worked for Ford. It worked for General Motors. Maybe that's what's going to happen with these network companies. Maybe this will force a reorganization that will bring in new blood, younger people that are more hip to what's going on in the real world.
Well, I think that's a good perspective. I had a comment earlier, and now I completely forgot it. That happens.
I'm sorry.
That happens. No, that's okay. It happens. Well, I don't know how much longer you want to stay on, but I do want to do a show on plutonium, on harvesting them, for people to realize that it's not radioactive, certain types.
Well, it's radioactive, but that plutonium is a very interesting plutonium-238 and space exploration are tied together in a very close way for any missions that go beyond Mars. And it is it's tragic right now because we have almost no plutonium left. And without it, we will never go anywhere in the solar system and in space again.
And this matters because we need to be at the top of the game. If this segregation of the Internet happens and we continue to fall in math scores, English scores, we're falling farther and farther behind. We should be more like Finland or Singapore where they're more focused, and they have a plan and they follow it. And that's the reason why I wanted to mention the plutonium-238. Because there's a lot of people in Congress that are ignorant. There's no other word for it. Just they live in the 1950s, full of fear, suspicion, and little activity. They're afraid to make a move.
I think they'll come around. It's been very slow. And what's really interesting? This recently, the French have a huge number of nuclear power plants. And a lot of this plutonium can actually be made in some of those types of reactors. The whole issue is that once we stopped making atomic bombs, we didn't have that isotope of plutonium around anymore. That was a byproduct of making bombs. Well, we don't make bombs anymore. We've got lots of bombs. But the plutonium in a bomb is not the plutonium that will work in a spacecraft. Spacecraft plutonium doesn't blow up. It just gets hot. It's just very hot, and the heat is turned into electricity. We'll do a show on this because it's a very interesting topic.
And I think it's a good follow-up. It's a good follow-up to Internet segregation, because these things do matter. They do matter.
I did have something else there I was looking up.
Sure.
I don't know if you guys heard of it. They actually came out with this in 2008, early 2008. But the hydrogen fuel cars, hydrogen cell.
Yes.
If we implement those, I think that will definitely help our economy and, maybe help the industry itself, the car industry. And will also help the consumer in the long run, not having to worry about gas.
Oh, yeah. And,
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say the largest user of fuel in the country is the Department of Defense, and they are desperate.
True.
They are desperate to find an alternative to so much petroleum being used because it costs them a fortune. Hundreds of billions of dollars are going into fuel, and it's one of their major expenses, and people don't realize that. It costs
and
a lot of money
to transport it, to store it.
Hell. It's amazing.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. So there is a lot of. It's not just tree huggers that are interested in this. It's practical business and government reasons why we want to get into this economy that allows us to utilize things like hydrogen and natural gas.
I agree.
So, anyway,
well,
just a thought.
I tell you what, I want to thank you both for coming on TruthTalks Radio tonight. I think this is very important information. Maybe we can. Or maybe I can find out some more information about it and see where it's headed, because I don't think people should just let this go, and I want people to be informed. I'm going to put this podcast on some different networks and see if we can get some hits, and I think this will be good. It's kind of a slow night for me tonight, the number of callers and stuff, which is fine. But the caller that called in, besides Pluto, did you have any last remarks that you wanted to make on the topic, or anything else close to it?
No, I think that was it.
Pluto, do you have any closing remarks?
The only thing I think it would be a good idea to keep, to not lose faith. We have a self-regulating government system that does work. It really does work. I know it seems like it's broken all the time, but I think that nothing is set in stone, and that the most important thing is to keep your eyes on the situation, to keep aware of it, and to very much find out what your elected official, where they stand on it.
Amen.
That's the power of democracy. And vote with your conscience. Don't vote by what you see on a particular news channel. You do your own thinking. And that's what I intend on doing.
I like that very much.
Do your own research. Don't believe everything.
Exactly.
Right. If you have a question about your senator or representative, call their office. And sometimes the representative or senator will call you back. Don't dismiss yourself. Do not dismiss yourself, because they do care what you think. They want to hear from you. Sometimes they're not sure on which way to vote. If you don't hear from your people, I mean, how do you know?
Yeah,
so it's your responsibility to stay informed and not sit on the sidelines and do nothing.
That's right.
If you want a better society, make a choice to be involved. As always on TruthTalks Radio, every voice has value. If you call in, your voice has value, even if I disagree with you. So I encourage people to call in and to have a conversation, because that's where action ensues from. We have a conversation, and then we act upon it. So, once again, I want to thank the both of you to call in. Bill Wagner was unable to be here tonight, so perhaps he'll be on here another night. But I think this worked out really well. I'm well pleased.
Okay.
And I think it's a good discussion. So I thank everyone, and I'm going to close it out. And I will see you tomorrow night.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
And call in tomorrow night, where your voice has value, on Truth Talk Radio. Thank you and good night.